What is up, guys? EJ here, back with another video, and today I'm going to be continuing on with my series of top 10 lists from the 1980s, and this week it's going to be my top 10 films of 1981. So counting down as always, starting at number 10, we have John Carpenter's Escape from New York, classic action sci-fi film, of course, starring Kurt Russell as the great Snake Plissken. In the future, Manhattan has been turned to a prison overrun by brutal killers. And then, of course, Donald Pleasance, who plays the president, his plane crashes, and it's a fight for survival for the two of them. Yeah, just a great film, one of Kurt Russell's most iconic roles, and definitely one of John Carpenter's best films. Great supporting cast as well. You've got people like Ernest Borgnine, Lee Van Cleef, Isaac Hayes even. Yeah, love Escape from New York, one of Carpenter's best. Okay, up next at number 9, a great comedy, and that is Stripes, directed by Ivan Reitman, co-written, of course, by the late great Harold Ramis, who just passed away last month. And on the Movie Reviewers 100, we did a tribute week to him, of course. Just a really funny, hilarious film with a great cast. Bill Murray, John Candy, and Harold Ramis. Bill Murray, guy who loses his job and his girlfriend and his apartment all on the same day, and then decides to join the army and almost starts World War III. Yeah, really funny. I love watching this film. John Candy, great as well. Such a shame he passed away when he did. I mean, he died a long time ago now, it seems. Yeah, just a really funny cast and a funny movie. Big fan of Stripes. Okay, up next at number 8, I talked about one of this director's films on my list for 1980, and he's got one on this list as well. And it's a Criterion, Spine number 562, and that is, of course, Blowout, directed by Brian De Palma. Great paranoia thriller starring John Travolta and Nancy Allen. John Travolta plays this special effects man. Movie man thinks he's recorded a political assassination and has to team up with Nancy Allen, trying to figure out what the hell's going on. Really great thriller. Like I said, with Dressed to Kill, Brian De Palma made two really great thrillers in the early 80s after his success with Carrie, of course, from '76, which also starred Nancy Allen, and yeah, I forget if John Travolta was in that as well as the boyfriend. Anyway, Blowout, classic film, one of Brian De Palma's best. Okay, up next at number 7, the film I've always been a huge fan of, and that is Taps. Who directed this? Harold Becker. Really interesting film with a great young cast of young actors who would all become really big stars. Timothy Hutton, Tom Cruise, of course, and Sean Penn. I believe it was Tom Cruise's first feature-length film. And George C. Scott, the great George C. Scott. Yeah, about this academy, this military academy for young cadets. It's about to get turned into basically redeveloped into apartment buildings or something like that, and the young cadets not happy about that situation and decide to take over the school. Yeah, I just love the whole situation about this movie. Some of the stuff gets a little bit silly as far as like the battle and shit for the school, but yeah, it's just a really cool film. Tom Cruise, just a total madman. He looks really young in this. I mean, he has a really small part in this film, but he really stands out as well. And I'm a huge fan of George C. Scott. He's like their leader, basically their mentor. Yeah, Taps, terrific film. Absolutely love this movie. Okay, up next at number 6, I believe, we have Reds. Of course, directed by Warren Beatty, who stars in the film as John Reed, an American communist, journalist and activist. This film takes place during the Russian Revolution, and he gets caught up in it along with Diane Keaton, Jack Nicholson, and Maureen Stapleton. We were watching Jeopardy the other day, and one of the clues was Silver Linings Playbook was the most recent film to have 4 nominations in the 4 acting categories, and what was the last film was the question, and the answer is Reds. All 4 of those people I mentioned were all nominated for Oscars: Best Actor, Best Actress, Best Supporting Actor, and Best Supporting Actress. Reds, really great film. Lauren Beatty. Definitely check it out if you haven't seen it. Okay, up next at number 5, film I talked about back in October because it was on my list of viewing for 31 Days of Horror, and that is An American Werewolf in London. Absolute classic werewolf horror film, directed by John Landis. Love this movie. Great special effects. David Naughton and Griffin Dunne as 2 American backpackers, travelers who get caught in the Welsh moors, and one of them gets torn apart by a werewolf, and the other one gets bitten, and of course it turns him into a werewolf after he goes to London to recuperate. The interesting thing about this film, the nurse played by Jenny Agutter, or Agutter, I don't know how to say it. I talked about her when I talked about this movie in that prior video, and it actually turns out that I am related to Jenny Agutter. My mom told me she's like a 3rd cousin. So yeah, I am related to the actress in this film, which is very interesting because I was talking about how cute she was as a young, hot British nurse in this film. So yes, I am related to the actress who plays the lead female in this movie, American Werewolf in London. Okay, moving on. Another great British film, definitely, and that is Chariots of Fire. When you hear the music by Vangelis, of course, you just know this movie. Classic film, starring, I always fuck up the names, Ben Cross and Ian Charleson. Great film directed by Hugh Hudson about 2 Olympic athletes in 1924. One's a Christian, the other one's a Jewish. He's a Jew, and sort of their rivalry up until the 1924 Olympics. Just a great movie, fantastic music, of course, and just a great film of the early 80s. Okay, up next at number 3, we have one of my all-time favorite war films, and that is Wolfgang Petersen's Das Boot, or The Boat. The first time I saw this World War II film starring Jürgen Prochnow about a German U-boat was in my German class in high school. Even though my German teacher was like a dragon lady, basically, everybody hated her. She showed us this movie over like a week because it's a long film, and I loved it when I first saw it. And it's just a classic anti-war film. One of the best movies told from the other side, as far as the Germans are concerned. Das Boot, fantastic movie. Okay, up next at number 2, another great war film, definitely one of my favorites by one of my favorite directors, and that is Gallipoli, directed by Peter Weir and starring a young and not quite insane yet Mel Gibson. Fantastic movie set during World War I, about the ill-fated Battle of Gallipoli that takes place in Turkey. Fantastic film. Great performance by Mel Gibson. I'm a huge fan of Peter Weir, and this is one of his best films. Okay, last but definitely not least, has to be on the list and has to be top of the list. We have Raiders of the Lost Ark. Of course, Steven Spielberg, George Lucas, the incarnation of Indiana Jones, played by Harrison Ford. Just a fantastic film. Every time I watch it, and I watch it every year right before Christmas. I watched the whole trilogy, of course, and the 4th one. I just love this character. I love the music. The Indiana Jones theme by John Williams is probably my all-time favorite movie theme score. that main theme, of course. I just love it. I just love everything about this movie. The adventure, the romance, the mystery surrounding the Ark of the Covenant. You've got the Nazis in this race against Indy and his friends. Uh, what's her name? Karen Allen is Maureen Ravenwood. What am I saying? Yeah, Marion Ravenwood. John Rhys Davies as Sala. Um, Denholm Elliott, of course. Um, yeah, just a fantastic film. And then on the other side, you have Richard Lacey as the Gestapo guy, and Paul Freeman, who plays Belloc. Yeah, just fantastic action. Just a wonderful film. Basically, for me, it sort of defined my childhood in the 80s, I'd say. Indiana Jones is like, he's definitely one of my heroes, along with James Bond, and Raiders of the Lost Ark is still my favorite of the franchise. So that is my list, the top 10 films of 1981. Let me know what you think about these films and this list. Thank you for watching as always. Next week we'll have my top 10 films of 1982. So until then, I'll see ya.
Bond. James Bond.